Hi, this is Real Men Unscripted with D&D, Derek and Domingo. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Real Men Unscripted. I'm Derek.
I'm Domingo. Welcome back.
And today we're going to talk about IAs, since we kind of left off with that on the last episode. So
You left off with that.
yeah, I left off with it. So
Let's just get one thing straight. I hate IA. I can't stand IA. So
you mean the people that work in there?
Yes.
Because they have a job to do.
I don't care.
Which is, if the cop's wrong, to find them wrong.
Yeah,
right?
you have sergeants, lieutenants could do that. You don't need an internal affairs division.
Mm-hmm.
They're backstabbers.
So at my old department, Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, in 2010, I was a sergeant. I had been a sergeant for 3 years. It was January of 2010.
Population 30,000.
Yeah. So another officer, Derek Paoli, and Deputy Massey, Oro Massey, both of them were working. Both of them were senior deputies. Oro was an FTO.
But they were your deputies on your squad?
Yeah, they were
were in
on.
charge of
They
that.
both were senior at that time. They had been on, I don't know, let's see, since 98. Derek, I think, a little bit before that, because he was a reserve at one department. Anyhow, a lot of years. What happened was Massey, Oro, did a traffic stop on the reservation for this lady. Thought she was maybe either on drugs or something. Took her back to the station, tried to do some tests. She didn't want to, so he took her to the jail to get blood. Deputy Paoli goes with them. At this point, I get called. It came out as a robbery, because a lot of people, when they call, they think they're being robbed at their house, but it's really a burglary, right?
Yeah.
So it came out as a robbery, but it was a burglary. It was in the county, in Redwood Valley, which is, it'd be like Green Valley Ranch to Vegas maybe, or north Las Vegas. So I'm on that, and I think we had one other officer on. This is just in the Ukiah sector, is what we call it. So anyhow, at one point they take her to the hospital. She gets combative, actually kicks Deputy Massey and actually jams his finger. And so Derek Paoli went to dry stun her, and Massey stopped him. First of all, he probably shouldn't have, but that's how this whole thing got started, kind of. He said, well, maybe call the sergeant. So Paoli calls me, advises me, the crime, and that they're trying to get blood, and she's being combative, and they feel that she's going to assault the nurses. She just assaulted Massey, and he says, can I dry stun her to get her to calm down? I said, absolutely. So they do it. It didn't work. It didn't get her to comply anymore. So then they brought in like this male nurse who was like 350 pounds, and like 6 of them hold her down. They get the blood. They finish. They take her to jail. So the next morning, I brief my lieutenant of what transpired. And then literally like 4 days later, I get my first ever internal affairs letter. I'm freaked out. I'm like, what? Because they're listing the criminal charges, color of authority, all this stuff, plus the violations that are
The policy
violations. And there was like 8 of them or something. And now I'm just like freaked out. And
I would be too.
And I'm like, what the heck, So I go to my interview and tell them, exactly what I did.
With the rep or without?
I don't think I had a rep initially.
That was your first mistake.
No, I mean, I might have called the rep, but I don't think he was in there with me. I mean, it's been a long time, 14 years ago. But I don't think he was in there with me, if I recall. I might have called him, told him, that I was going. But anyhow, I knew the IA guy, and I trusted him. He was a lieutenant, Mason. So anyhow, they do the interview. They interviewed the other, 2 deputies, and then, I think the investigation's still going on. So at one point, I go to my sheriff and I'm like, hey, listen, to make this thing like go away, like, because I actually got the letter for the recommendation of what they wanted, and it was 2 recommendations. It was 1, demotion, or 2, 2 weeks suspended without pay. So I went to the sheriff and said, hey, listen, just to make this thing go away, I'll take the 2 weeks on the beach, is what we, used to call it back in the day. And he goes, well, Derek, I need to know, like, do you think you did anything wrong? And I was like, at the time, I actually don't think I did anything wrong. Now that I'm in this situation, I probably wouldn't do the same thing, but, I'm stand by what I, did. And then he's like, okay. He goes, well, I'm going to demote you. I did the same thing you just did. I was like, excuse me? He's like, I'm going to have to demote you. And I'm like, Sheriff, 3 years ago, so in 2007 is when I got promoted.
Yeah.
He had stood me right outside the sheriff's office at the flagpole, and he told me, hey, because I came out number 1.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, I want you to make a decision. I have sergeants that aren't making decisions. Make the decision, and I'll back you, as long as you don't, do something totally so stupid that I can't back you. So I tell him that. I'm like, Sheriff, you told me to make decisions and you'd back me, and now you're not backing me. And, right before, like a few weeks before that, there was a taser incident in Seattle of like a pregnant woman. And I think they thought, I remember that, because of that, like we shouldn't have done it or something. But this lady wasn't pregnant or anything like that. And I mean, I was on this burglary call, like, doing prints, trying to help this lady out, then talking to my deputy, and I thought I felt like he gave me enough information that I made the call. So anyhow, he says he's going to demote me. And I just said, hey, Sheriff, I'm going to have to fight that. Like, there's no way that I'm going to get demoted. I've never been in trouble in my life. And he says, oh, you want to put Tammy and the kids through that? The boys, he said, Tammy and the boys. I'm like, yeah, because, like, I didn't do anything, like, illegal or wrong. Like, yeah, I'm going to have to fight it. And he said, okay, you're willing to have this go public? I'm like, yeah, like, I don't think I did anything wrong. So I requested that I get sent to our courthouse because I didn't want to be around that lieutenant.
Yeah.
Because during this time, I found out that they never interviewed the girl.
The victim.
This victim.
Supposed victim.
So, which ultimately ended up being a good thing for me at the end, but they didn't interview the nurse. They only interviewed Massey, Paoli, and me.
And you. That's not a good investigation.
No. And maybe the lieutenant was helping me out by not interviewing everybody. I don't know. But he still demoted me when I thought I would maybe just get the 2 weeks, which I still thought was...
That was the sheriff that demoted you, not
Yeah, but that was my boss. I mean, ultimately, the IAs make say a recommendation, and then he makes it.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I told them that I wanted to be sent to the courthouse because I didn't want to be around any of those people because now I'm hot because now you're taking money from me, right? Because I went from a sergeant back to a deputy too. So I'm losing money each month. And so it was in August. So we're talking January to August. So it's 7 months that I'm working at the courthouse till I get a chance to go to a civil service board hearing on my behalf. And so at this hearing, they bring Massey, they bring Paoli, they both say what they say. They bring the nurse who tells the board that after seeing Massey get hurt, that she thought she was going to get hurt. And she straight up said that she was happy that they did that, although it didn't work and they had to grab a 350-pound man. She thought that was more excessive than a dry stun.
Than the dry stun.
But so then they ask her, well, have you seen excessive force by deputies? And she's like, yeah, by Mendocino County deputies. But this incident was not excessive, and I'm happy they did what they did. So then they put the sheriff up there. And this is what I want to read because I don't want to get it wrong. But
just to clarify, for those that don't know, dry stun, it's a taser, and it doesn't have the cartridge. So you take the cartridge off, and then you place it against their skin, and then you press the...
And it's for pain and compliance.
That's all it's for.
And she was handcuffed, still, but she was still combative, ongoing, and so he thought that Deputy Paoli thought the one stun would get her to stop and comply, and then it didn't work.
But when you're on drugs, sometimes it doesn't take effect.
So this
is what he said, the sheriff.
Well, so in his decision, he said there was 4 things that he didn't think. No, that he didn't think that I did well enough or did, and this is why he made his decision.
As a supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, first, Scott did not attempt to better understand the situation when Paoli called. And they had me testify after him, and I was like, I don't know what he's talking about because I literally called him and he gave me information, and I felt it was enough. But this is what he thinks, that I didn't understand the situation enough. I don't. Second, he said that I failed to go to the medical center before approving the use of taser, which I didn't go because I was on another call in 15 minutes, 20 minutes away, and on a burglary call. And third, that I failed to properly reference the audio recording in the crime report. So, which I don't do. As sergeants, we don't do that. So Deputy Massey, he recorded the whole thing because he was our only black deputy. I think he's still the only black deputy ever in that county. He recorded every contact he ever had because they were more racist than I thought. But they always accused him of doing stuff that he never did, or would.
Who, the public or the department?
The public, yeah. Like if he made an arrest, they would say, "Oh, he was cussing at me, or he did this and he did that." And he was my partner for several years, and he never did any of these things that these people would say.
So this is his personal recording, not a body camera?
No, they gave us, not a body camera. They gave us our own tape recorders.
Got it.
And we would record and then put the cassette in evidence. Well, he put it in there late. He didn't, and I don't see this. So I don't know how it works at Metro, but if you have evidence, it doesn't go to the sergeant. You put the evidence
you impound
yourself
evidence
into the evidence
vault
area and lock it up. And then it's up to you to write in there. Well, initially when he wrote his report, I didn't know if he audioed it because he didn't reference it initially, which is on him. But they're saying because I didn't log it, which I wouldn't have logged it anyhow.
Yeah.
It was 12 days after the incident.
When the recording came out.
Massey realized he had the recording because he saves everything, but he remembered that he forgot to log it in. So he logged it in. No
12
biggie.
days later.
12 days later, but no biggie. Like, it's not like it was changed in any way.
Yeah.
He just thought he put it in there and he didn't. And then finally, he stated that. So he didn't put the audio recording in the crime report, and he didn't log it till 12 days later. So when I got up there and they asked me that, I said, well, first of all, it wasn't in there initially, so I didn't know. And I don't log the evidence. Sergeants log none. So I don't know why the sheriff is saying I should have logged it or I should have
listened to it.
And then his last statement was that he would hope that Scott would reapply for any sergeant positions that might come up in the future. So he just demoted me, but then he felt that I was good enough as a sergeant to reapply.
Wow.
So I get up there, and I tell him how I was on this burglary call and that I called and and then I tell him about the recordings. And so I told him that, I've never been in trouble before. They showed all my evaluations, which were above, right? And he still demoted me. So the board it was favor, it was 5-0, I think.
5-0 in your favor?
I think there was 5 of them, yeah. Anyhow, they all found in my favor that it was excessive discipline. But this was the only thing, because they liked the sheriff. The sheriff is he is like a Obama or a Biden. He is loved by the public, right? He's not like Trump. This guy was loved by the public. And so
I thought we said no politics.
Yeah. So it said, let's see. So the commission reversed in part and then modified. This is the only thing I wish they hadn't done. I wish they would have not given me the 2 weeks or any, but I didn't know that they had to pick one or the other, right? Since he had already demoted me, the only other selection for them was the 2 weeks without pay. I didn't know. I thought they could just say, you get nothing.
Yeah.
But they thought that they had to. Matter of fact, the board asked, well, what did Massey get and what did Paoli get? Because they wanted to know what they got, because they thought that I probably should get actually a little less than them because they were at the incident. Paoli got 1 day in the shade, and he ended up not even having to take. He basically was off, but didn't lose any money. And Massey got a week, but he got to use vacation. So neither one of them were out money. So, but for me, they decided that it was excessive discipline and that I should get my stripes back, but that they agreed that the 2 weeks without pay. So, which is what I wanted from the beginning to make it go away. So I ultimately ended up, getting the 2 weeks without pay and won my stripes back. This is no kidding here. So I want my sergeant's badge back.
Yeah.
So I call my PORAC guy, my attorney.
Badge,
I wanted my badge that he took from me back. So I told the guy, hey, I'm going to go see the sheriff. And he's all, do not go see him without me. I'm like, I want it now, and I'm going now without you. Because he's 3 hours south of us. I don't have time to wait. So I get in there. He's got the door open, and his secretary's sitting there. Liz, the sheriff's secretary is there in her office with her door open. She can see in there. And I go in there, and I said, I'm here to get my badge back. And this guy, Tom Allman, was the sheriff. He's no longer the sheriff, thank God. He was sheriff for a long time, though. He won quite a few times. And I liked him when he was the sergeant because he's the one that hired me. He did my background to get hired. Oh. And we loved him. Where it went south was when I voted for the other sheriff and not him when he first ran. And he knew that, and ever after that was down. But I couldn't prove that that's why he demoted me, was because of that. But they gave me crap ever since then. But when I go to get my badge back, he tells me that he is going to do another IA on me. And I'm like, for what?
So you had already won this.
I already won.
You went there to get your badge back, your physical badge.
And then he tells me he is going to do another IA. And I said, wow. For what? See, the public doesn't know this stuff because, I never went public with it till now. But I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? And he said, apparently you've been talking crap about the captain who started the IA, which was Kurt Smallcombe, who used to be my boss when I was in detectives. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, unless you mean I've said who started the IA, and it wasn't the victim, it was him. Yeah. And if that's a crime, then you got me. But other than that, I haven't said anything, and I haven't even been around him because I asked to not work on patrol and be at the courthouse. So I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, but this is probably what I shouldn't have said. But I was so furious at this point that I said, you know what, Sheriff? I beat you once. I can beat you again. So go ahead. And he literally, the top of his voice told me to get the F out of there right now and don't come back. And when I turned around, Liz's eyes, she couldn't believe the way he was talking to me. And I walked out, called my attorney, and said, this is what he says he's going to do. I don't know what the heck he's doing. Needless to say, the lieutenant, one of the lieutenants that was kind of running the courthouse, called me and was like, what's going on? I said, hey, he just said he's not giving me my badge back. I'm telling you, you better get my badge back. So he eventually got my badge back and gave it to me. And I went back to patrol.
As a sergeant.
As a sergeant.
Now, he gave you the badge you were looking for? Your
yeah,
badge?
Yeah. I got it back. But that was in August of 2010. I retired in October of 2015. For the next 5 years, they rode my butt so hard that basically at one point in 2015, I went out on stress. They were on me on at one point I got sent to another where you were at for the Mendocino, the town of Mendocino. Yeah. I went over there. That's where my partner was shot and killed when on that area. They call it the coast. So I had to live over there Monday through Thursday away from my family because if I hadn't volunteered, he was going to send me over there. And I probably should have waited for him to send me because then I could have said that they're still disciplining me. But I thought, well, if I volunteered to do it, that it would
they'll back off,
calm things down. And it didn't. Because then I had this Lieutenant Barney who was literally the worst cop ever. Like there's rumors that like he did a lot of bad stuff on the res. He's Indian, by the way, but he was on the res. Anyhow, he was my lieutenant for a long time. Him and I got into it because I fought for my deputies all the time about stuff. And then the lieutenants, would just nope. And then literally in May of 2015, this newest lieutenant, Cadillo, wrote me up he said he's writing me up for something, and then literally added 2 other incidences that happened like a month to 2 months prior. Yeah. And he wrote all 3 of them up at one time.
Into one. Wow.
And that's when I went to my doctor, because I went to go see him because I was getting no sleep for like 2 days. And he was like, dude, you look like crap. And he got me on Ambien and said, hey, because you're on Ambien, I got to take you off work till I can figure out,
Yeah.
And my life was literally hell for 5 years. That's when I finally, when I got my 20 is when I finally pulled the plug. Because if I hadn't, I probably would have did something to the sheriff or myself because I was so angry.
Or the lieutenants.
Yeah. Because they were horrible. Like literally, if me and another sergeant could do the exact same thing, and they would write me up and but they would never think about writing.
So they wrote you up all kinds of times.
So when they put me out on stress, when my doctor put me out.
Yeah.
So at the time I was going to be getting a job at the local college. So I already worked at the police academy.
Yeah.
Had been for, at this point, 10 years. And so the local college wanted to hire me to help with the law enforcement program. So I sent a letter in because you have to get permission to get it, right? People don't know, but if you're law enforcement, to work a second job, you got to get permission. So I asked for permission, and he denied it. And I said, wait, I'm already working at the police academy.
Yeah.
Why are you denying me potential money I could get? And he said that due to your recent write-ups, I feel you need to concentrate just on the job. But he didn't say you need to get rid of the police academy job.
Yeah.
he just was denying this other one. And so literally I wanted to file a grievance.
You should.
I had never filed a grievance before, ever. And so I was off, right? My doctor put me off. So I came back to the department and I went to sign in so I could get some information about for stuff that I had in my own files at work.
Yeah.
They had me logged out.
They locked you out?
They had locked me out. So I called the IT guy and I was like, hey, why am I locked out?
Yeah, you're not suspended or anything.
And he's like, where are you? I said, I'm at work. Like, I'm trying to get in. He's like, you need to call the undersheriff. So I called the undersheriff. Didn't call him undersheriff. Called him by his first name. I said, what are you doing? Why am I locked out? And he said, what are you doing at work? I said, who says I can't be at work?
Yeah.
I just can't work right now. But there's nothing in my thing that says I can't be there. And he says, what do you need to do? So I tell him, I said, I'm filing a grievance against you guys and I need access. Well, how long do you need? I don't know, an hour, 2 hours? I'll give you 2 hours. I said, great. And then he tells me, after the 2 hours, when you leave, you are not allowed back here on this property unless you are cleared medically. I said, okay. I left. Next day, they sent the captain to my house with the piece of paper.
The captain?
Advising me that I'm not allowed at the department.
On the property.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody knows this stuff in Mendocino County. This is all the stuff that transpires there that people don't know. And literally, so then I came here, and that's how I found UNLV. I decided to apply, but I wanted to get back to work. So I told my medical, I was off for like a month and a half. I said, hey, put me back to work. So I went back to work. I went to go back to work. The undersheriff said, I'm not clearing you. I know your doctor cleared you, but you're not cleared till you go see a psych. So for you guys, we have to do polygraphs and psychs. So they literally made me on August 7th of 2015 go to Santa Rosa, which is the next county, city south, and take a psychology.
A psych eval.
Another psych eval.
Wow.
That I passed.
Flying colors.
Yeah. But when I got cleared till the time I could take the psych, they took me off patrol, off everything, put me in
Desk duty?
it was more like detectives, and only was handling cold cases.
Really?
So it was more like a punishment.
Yeah.
But I was like, whatever, I just don't want to be around these people. And so that's what was the final straw for me to be like. And then I found out I had my 20. I was going to take a little bit of cut and pay because I didn't have my 55, my 3 at 55, because I left at 47.
Yeah.
So I lost money retiring early, but mentally it was the best thing that I needed to do. I needed to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And when I took the job, I know we're supposed to wind it down. When I took the job here, when I told I went to the sheriff, I caught him coming out of the courthouse.
In Mendocino.
In Mendocino. And I just said, Tom, I need to talk to you. And he's like, yes, Derek. I was like, listen, you hate me, I hate you. You want me out of here, and I want to be out of here. I want to know, I have the opportunity to go to UNLV PD, and I want to know, are you going to F me? And he's like, you know what? You're a community guy. I think that job would be perfect for you. I said, great. I said, then you better clear up my background and take those 3 piece of crap write-ups. I said, I'm going to tell them about my write-ups, but I want them out of my file. And I go, matter of fact, I just looked at my file, and you have nothing in there. Now, this is 5 years later that I won my stripes back. They had nothing in there that said you won your stripes back. It's still, the last thing that was in there was that I was demoted. So I told them, you either take that out or you put something in there that says I won my stripes back.
Yeah.
But I want that cleaned up, and I want it done now. He said he would do it, and I got hired in 2 months. And when I told that lieutenant who wrote me up 3 times that I was leaving, he said, bull crap, you are not leaving here.
Really?
You're not old enough to retire. I said, watch me. My last work day is 10/6, and my last day on the job is 10/10. So you can kiss my... I mean, I went off on them. And then he said, well, between now and when you leave, I'm going to follow you to every call. I said, you could follow me for every call all you want. I don't give a crap, because in 2 months I'm out of here.
Yep.
And so I took, so
Did
I
he
left
follow
him.
you?
Oh, yeah. He went to a lot of my calls, watched everything that every officer's report deputy's report
Yeah.
that I looked at, he re-looked at. Oh, yeah. It was crazy.
That's
but on my last day
terrible.
on the job, I told him, you want to follow me around? Go ahead. I said, Tammy's going to ride with me for a couple hours, and I'm going to all these people, and I'm taking selfies with them. That's all I'm doing today. So if you want to follow me, go ahead, but that's all I'm doing. I went to all the firefighters, police, the schools, took selfies with everybody. That's all I did for 12 hours. And ate breakfast
with
and
the
lunch.
sheriff too?
Nope. Nope. I got the hell out of there. So anyhow, for all you listeners that are from Mendocino County, now you can hear the real reason why I left
story,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, because, I never mentioned it before. I've never really gone public about it. But normally it gets me super fired up. I'm trying to keep my cool at the moment. But Tammy's probably going to be mad that I even brought it up. But yeah, I thought since we were talking about IAs, I'd bring it up.
Yeah. That's really good. That's like story time too.
Yeah, yeah. We're not doing story time. That was story time. So anyhow, so like, share,
Subscribe.
subscribe,
And watch.
So anyhow, until next episode, peace out.
Peace out. Have a good week.